Hello and welcome to the 8th episode of Incantation, a horror movie review podcast where we discuss both classic and current horror movies as well as everything in between. We're four friends from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia with a shared love for everything horror. I am Joe and with me today is Caleb.
Hello.
Lynn.
Hi.
And Josh.
Hey.
So we are actually in almost, I guess, the last episode of our occultic theme movie review. So last week Caleb has chosen the movie Host. I'm gonna pass it to you, Caleb. Give us your initial thoughts of this movie.
So Host is a 2020 British found footage horror film directed by Rob Savage. It's about this group of friends coming together on the Zoom call because of COVID. They're in quarantine. They came together on this Zoom call and wanted to do a seance. Mm-hmm. And spooky stuff happens, right? Right. What I thought about this film is, in my opinion, I liked it a lot. It's short enough to not be dumb, right? If this film dragged on, it would be dumb. There's a lot of cool, creepy, scary scenes. There's some cool jump scare scenes too. So it's right up my alley as a casual horror movie watcher. Right.
So talk about some of the things that you like, without spoiling it.
Without spoiling, I said it like the jump scare scenes, some scare scenes. Then there's like a few creepy scenes that I can't go into detail. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's also like pretty realistic since it's like based off our real life situation right now. So it's pretty cool. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Lynn?
I didn't have much expectations, to be honest. Like, found footage is something that I'm neutral about. Like, I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. But this movie is pretty straightforward. Like, it's only an hour long, and a lot of things happen in that 1 hour. It's a movie. It's a very dense movie. Like, so many things happen. They used the Zoom platform like really. I mean, the director used the Zoom platform really smartly, and creepy things happen, like what Caleb said. But I really like the movie because it's so basic, and yet the effects were really on point. So definitely recommend it. Like, it's only an hour long, so like if you just have an hour to fill, if you're waiting for you're just planning to kill time, it's an hour long. You can finish it in and it's really good. Yeah.
All right. So for me, I think the film is really fun, and then I think the performances of the actors were really awesome. That's what made the film, for me at least, one of my favorite thing would be watching the expressions on each of their faces, and then I mean they really sell what they're actually experiencing, and I bought it. I totally bought the whole film. The scares were effective enough. Some of it I guess you could see coming, but some really surprised me. So it's like what Lynn said, it's a really short film, very easy to digest. I love it. Super fun. There were a few creepy moments. There were some jump scares that I really liked as well. So and also the really creative use of the Zoom. They didn't explicitly say Zoom, but everyone knows that's Zoom.
Didn't it?
I'm not sure.
It's got all the HUD and stuff.
Yeah.
It's got all the UI.
It's got all the Zoom UI, but I don't think they're allowed to say it's Zoom. I'm not sure. But yeah, so and it's totally relatable. So every right now everyone is on lockdown, right? So everyone has to like go to meetings on a Zoom conference call, and you might just be summoning something that you don't want on your Zoom meeting, right? So it's totally relatable.
Zoom meetings are the true horror of the pandemic.
It's time to use Skype.
Right. So you're constantly looking at the backgrounds of the characters for things, and then you just if the film doesn't scare you enough, you're scaring yourself. right? So yeah, totally love the movie. Josh?
Yeah, I love this film. I remember when I was watching it, I was texting you guys and it's like, okay, I'm like 20 minutes in, I live alone. It's really late at night. I don't know whether I should continue watching this or not because I'm getting so creeped out. Yeah, it's really, it's very, very creepy and very, very effective, right? So Host isn't the first film to try the concept of video conference found footage hauntings, right? Unfriended has already had a couple of films that are like that. But I think what makes Host stand out are a couple of things that you guys have already pointed out. First, the cast chemistry is really, really good, right? And I guess it helps that all of them are actually friends in real life. It really translates very well to the screen, and also how completely Rob Savage has bought into the whole video conference format, right? So it's not just, we are doing it on video conference because we are on lockdown, we have to use this format, but he really plays with the with all the bells and whistles that you have on this video conferencing tool. This is probably the first film that I've seen that actually works better if you watch it on a small screen like a phone or a tablet, mainly because that's usually how we use a lot of times we use these video conferencing tools like that, right, on our phones.
Right.
And I don't want to give anything away, but there are some video conferencing features that I will never look at in the same way again.
Right. I didn't actually think about that. There's an extra layer of fourth wall breaking there, right?
Yeah, and it's very smart about it, right? And it really makes you like, oh, okay, like I didn't think about how this could be used in such a creative manner. And also one of the things that I liked was that this film isn't shy about any of its influences, right? Like films like The Descent, the first Paranormal Activity, Silent House, which is a film starring Elizabeth Olsen, which I might be the only person on the planet who saw, and Record, the Spanish found footage film.
Right.
You can see all these influences in Host. There's a difference between outright copying and paying much, right? And I think Host does a really good job of staying on the right side of that equation. The pacing of the film is great. How they modulate between states of tension and outright jump scares, and on the point of jump scares, right? Caleb mentioned that he enjoys films that employ really good jump scares, and for me, I was actually surprised watching it. So I rewatched it this afternoon for this review, and I was actually surprised that there aren't actually as many jump scares as I remembered. They really use it really, it is paced really well, so it's not like a certain Turkish film that we have reviewed.
Shots fired. It's been like 5 episodes.
Still bitter.
Yeah, they are really very judicious about when they sprinkle in the jump scares. Also, it's 57 minutes long, including the credits, right? What are you waiting for? If you haven't seen it already, please do yourself a favor and watch this.
Right. I think our review might last longer than 57 minutes. Alright, so guys, there you have it. This is our preliminary review of Host. So if you haven't caught up already, we all loved it, so go and watch it. And we'll be right back with spoiler talk right after this.
I've never done this over Zoom. Obviously, we're not physically together, but there's no reason why spirit can't communicate over the internet.
What was that? Amy, was that you?
I heard it. I heard something.
I think there's something here.
Do you see that? There's something.
We've connected with something. We gotta keep going. We gotta talk to it.
This is not good. I told you not to disrespect the spirits.
Emma, turn the filters off. Come on.
Okay guys, welcome back. We are discussing Hosts this week. Not to be confused with The Host, the South Korean monster movie, and what's the other one? The Host?
Another The Host.
Another The Host, which I have no idea what about. And then there's another Host that's actually coming out later this year. So don't be confused with that. This is the Rob Savage Host, right? So let's jump right into it. We are going to talk about the best bits, right? What are some of the scenes that you really like from the film? Lynn, maybe you can go first.
Scenes that I really like. I actually really like the usage of I don't know what is it called, but Caroline had that she had that video of herself in the background. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
The virtual
The
background.
video background loop.
Yeah, the video background loop. Like, I think it's something that most of us don't really use. We always use just the virtual background, and it's quite creepy in the sense that when she disappeared, right? They thought it was her, but it wasn't her. I think that was really effective. That's
a
one.
really great tool to pretend
Yeah.
that you are in meetings when you're not there.
Yeah.
That's actually what I wanted to do this afternoon.
This afternoon, I was in a Zoom meeting.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I saw you.
I think Lynn knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But that didn't happen, right?
Nah.
Yeah, I think that's one. Another one is I think the scene with Hayley where she was dragged from the chair, right? That was, I think for me, that was the first jump scare. I don't know whether it was actually the first one, but that was the one I remembered. She was the first who got disturbed by the demon, right? So I think she got dragged in the chair. That was creepy.
Right. Since you brought that up, right? Maybe we can straight up talk about who actually is the culprit of this. Who actually summoned the demon? Because I have a few theories, and in the beginning of the film, you can see there's this jump scare, right? The ironing board coming down, and that's already like a paranormal event, right? So that happened in her house.
That's just normal, right?
How's that normal?
That's not normal, Caleb.
That's normal. Like something fell in the closet. Like it's too heavy and it fell by itself, and then the door opened. That's it.
No, you think about it. If you put an ironing board into the closet, you would lean it backwards, right?
Yeah.
Not on the door,
Yeah.
right?
But that's you, right? I mean, like,
You don't know how she lays it out.
Really, it's like I have this problem. Like every few minutes, my ironing board falls out of the closet. I have no idea why. Well, it's because they're putting it in wrong, Haley. That's why.
It's haunted. That's why.
And then really quickly and close the door.
And then they sort of mentioned the fact that like this is not her first seance.
Is it?
No,
It's not her first seance.
Yeah, it's not her
Haley
first
has done it
seance.
before,
Yeah, so
but
she's
the
done
rest
it
of them have
before.
not yet.
Yeah, she's done it before, and then that's how she knows the medium, right? What's her name? Ceylon, right? Right. So I think they summoned the demon way before, and this is just like a trigger or agitation that sort of made it.
Nah. This is definitely Gemma's fault. This is all Gemma's fault.
She called
Like
the
you
false
don't,
spirit.
you don't disrespect the spirits, man. Like everybody knows.
Everyone knows.
Like is this like your first seance or what? Like don't disrespect the spirits. But no, I think like going back to that starting, right? I think what was really interesting is that how it also plays a little bit of expectation. So you are like, okay, is this okay? Did she put in the ironing board wrong, or like what is that? And then there's that knocking, and it's Gemma who's knocking on her window.
Right.
And so that's already a little bit like, okay, so what am I supposed to be looking out for, right? And I think that was really very cleverly done. And then it puts you on guard, and then you have all these people coming on screen talking to each other, and they're so, and because of that chemistry, right, then it makes you lower your defenses a little bit again, right? Because you're like, oh, right, no, it's just they're just like hanging out, having fun, and then it ramps it up again. So I thought that was just really very clever how they did that.
I think it did different for me because the moment the whole iron board thing jump scare, it kind of put me on edge for the whole movie because Haley, when she was in the Zoom call, she never closes her door behind her.
Right.
I keep expecting something running in from the dark hallway into her room.
Right.
Like it keeps me
I
on
think that's
edge
on purpose.
because of the first event
Yeah.
of the ironing board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
it
I'm
wasn't just Haley, right? It's like all of them leave their door open. It's like I
Right.
think like Radina has a door that's open in the background as well.
Yeah, but like
Caroline's door is also open.
like
So-
Haley's the one with the. She's the only
Dark.
one with the dark hall.
With the dark hallway. The rest of them is
every-
lit.
Yeah, the rest of them are lit.
Right.
Right.
So that's really smart. You keep expecting things to like.
Yeah, but
either
then it never comes.
it never comes, and then they
Nothing
just
happens.
set it up like that. And so yeah, I guess that's a red herring.
Yeah.
What was some of your more memorable ones, Ken?
The one was the whole ironing board setting up the whole movie for me, making me paranoid most of the time. The other one was I don't know who was it. She went up the attic with
It's
a
Caroline.
with the GoPro.
Caroline.
Yeah,
Right?
Caroline.
That's a smart
It wasn't
move.
a GoPro. Like she used a selfie stick.
Oh yeah, selfie stick.
Selfie stick, yeah.
Right, that was a smart move. To stick your phone and let someone else watch
Instead of
it.
sticking your head.
Instead of sticking your head, right? But yeah, that was pretty cool. What other scenes? I guess the fake background, and then she just started headbanging on the keyboard.
Yeah, that's a creepy one.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was a jump scare that got me.
I think Lynn's mentioned this already.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was a great jump scare, right?
Mhm.
Like you can just just look at the loop of the video and then it just cuts to
Yeah.
her, right? And they did it. The effects was really good too,
Mhm.
right? It really looks like if you're using a virtual background, that's what would happen, right? So that's really awesome. What I want to actually segue a little bit, it will be the trope of photographing dead spirits, right? So that's something that a lot of horror characters they do a lot, right? So they try to photograph whatever it is that's in front of
First,
them.
let me take a selfie.
Right. So what I want to actually share with everyone is actually a real life story. Someone that I know, I won't say who, actually tried to photograph what he thought was a spirit, and he was actually at the balcony. So we live in this condo. He was actually at the balcony. He saw something or someone that's across the street, across the building. I would say across his block lah. And then he saw this figure, I guess, at the balcony, and he took it upon himself to actually photograph that image, and then from his phone. And right after that, something really creepy happened to him, and then that same thing actually followed him. I would say, right after he photographed it, then he had nightmares of. I would say it's a girl, right? He photographed a girl on the balcony, and then he had nightmares about that girl. And then there was this one selfie where he took with his girlfriend, and there was hair in the background, which we have no idea where the hair comes from.
I thought it was on the foreground.
In the foreground.
In the foreground, not the background.
Yeah.
No, there. Yeah.
So like in front of them,
In front of the screen, in
Which
front
would
of
be-
them, right? Which is
at the camera.
right in front of the camera, which makes no sense, right? So, yeah. So I just like, why do people try to photograph?
I don't know.
It's such a dumb thing to do.
Ask him. But clearly, it's something that people do in real life. Like this is not like a like
It's
you know
real.
it's not like a stupid trope. Like you'll be like, why on earth are you doing that? Like you actually know somebody who did that, right?
I mean, like, okay, fine. Maybe I have horror movie watching experience, right? I have horror movie experience, right? You know you're not supposed to do that shit, but man, stop doing that. They didn't do it once; they did it twice in the movie, right? In the middle of the movie, and then at the end of the movie, they did it again.
You just want to see it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like it was. I felt like it was pretty understandable why she was doing. The first time she did it because like she said, oh, there's something there.
But
And
no
then
one saw it.
she couldn't really make out what it was. Like, girl, turn on your lights. Like, what are you doing? But then but she decided to take a picture fine, sure. The second time was the one that I thought was a little bit like, Gemma was telling her, get out, let's get out of the house, right? Let's get out. And she still wants to take a picture, and, Haley, like, I don't know, maybe you deserve what
what happened to you?
I think Gemma was most memorable for me. Like her whole faking the encounter. Yeah, I really loved. She had me for the first time. When I first time watched it, I thought she really, like, something was really happening, but man, the moment she turned around, psych. Yeah, so yeah, I love that character.
My favorite character is actually Caroline, and I think it's no like surprise that we are mentioning her scenes over and over, like the background loop scene, the attic scene. I think there's just something about her that is really, like, she was the most scared out of the whole bunch, right? And like there's this like in the middle of the film, like there's this close up of her face when she's crying, and she's like really terrified. Her reactions, I think, to what was going on was really helped sell or help carry that middle part of the film. And just to touch on that attic scene, I think it very, like, Caleb is right in that, it's really clever, like, rather than me going up and seeing what's going on, like, you guys help yourselves, right? Because they were the ones that no, actually it wasn't. She was the one that actually wanted to go up, wasn't it? They were saying you don't have to go up, you don't have to see what's going on up there, but she was like, no, I'm going to go up, but you guys get to see what's happening.
You guys get haunted.
I think that's a really clever way to subvert our expectations.
But I also think, because, like, when you think about these kind of found footage films and you see that scene, now it's no surprise that when I found out that this film Host was actually sold based on a shot that the director did. I think we all saw that clip that he put up on Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. And he was basically recreating the scene from Record, that right. ending jump scene, and then he just did it in his own home. And so when you say that it plays the expectation, there's two things that happen. One is that, yes, like, she doesn't go up herself, she lets her friends see it, but also is playing on our knowledge of films like Paranormal Activity and Record, right? So when she's going up to the attic, what are we going to get? Like, are we going to get nothing? The first Paranormal Activity, there wasn't anything. There was actually just the picture that was there, right? Or are we going to get a jump scare like Record? And what it gives us is dangling feet from the ceiling, and given that this was filmed by the cast members in their own homes, right, I just wonder about those legs, right? And was it her dad that was providing the legs in that scene, like the actor that played her dad?
No,
like, was he just like
those legs looks way too slender?
Yeah, maybe it's CGI that was added in after the fact. But yeah, Caroline, I mean, like, I didn't like Gemma. Gemma's a troublemaker. I love Caroline.
And how did they not see the legs? She wasn't panning really fast. She was going really slow.
Yeah, they did see it, right? They told her, hey, go back. And then when she went back,
right? They say, what was that? Anyone seeing it can tell it's legs, right?
Maybe they weren't really expecting legs.
Could be fake legs. It's still legs.
Yeah, no one was expecting legs.
Were there any, like, jump scares in the film that didn't work for you guys? Like, for me, right, I would say, like, the Teddy scenes at the end.
Right, same.
I didn't really like those.
The guy. The guy that joined in and he straight up got murdered.
Yeah. I didn't really like his I think, like, they showed the spirit a bit too much in his scenes, like, because, like, its face is the jump scare, like, a couple of times, and yeah, that I think those were the only two that I didn't really enjoy. But I don't know whether you guys had any others that you felt maybe didn't really do it for you.
Yeah, I guess same. For me, is like that's the moment where the film went and jumped the shark lah. Right.
I guess they ran out of stuff.
Yeah.
They want to fill more time. It's already 50 minutes.
Right. But yeah, I think that was just added just so that they can pad the runtime more.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, when things like just starts to get dragged around, and then that's it. And he just died. Right. He joined the meeting and then he just died.
Even his girlfriend. She just died. She just.
But those couple of scenes were actually really impressive. The one where she gets pulled up into the sky, I thought that was like, wow, how do you do that, right? And then where he got burned alive at the end, also like, if you are doing this like DIY, that's really impressive. Like, how are you doing that? Yeah. Lynn, did you have any scenes that didn't work for you?
I think they're all okay, but I kind of agree with what you said regarding the demon. Like I didn't think it was necessary to show the face of it, because I kind of like that thrill of not knowing what exactly is that entity. But yeah, it gave out a bit too much. But I think it was fine to me. We could see its eyes and all, right?
Like a orang minyak.
No, I feel like it came out like a few different faces.
Was it different faces?
I don't know. Every time I see it, I feel like I'm seeing a different thing.
Really?
Sometimes
it's a male entity, right? It's a male ghost.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like green, like a goblin.
It's a demon.
I don't know.
I think what I really like is that this demon is really pulling like extra time. Like he's literally going one by one, right? All of this. He's not, and he doesn't have the power. Like he can be in multiple places at the same time. He's like, okay, I gotta go to this person's place first and off them, and then okay, I'm going over to Teddy's place and I'm gonna off him, and
then at the end he went to each of their computers to disconnect.
To leave the meeting, right?
To disconnect the Zoom link. To disconnect that one by one.
Simultaneously, right. Go one by one.
One by one. It's like, so
at least it's fast.
So tedious.
Like they give out this like goals award, right? Like and the most hardworking spirit goes to.
Which makes me think Ceylon is behind all this.
Ceylon? She just summoned it and left.
She didn't die, right? Or at least we didn't see her die, right? She's just gone, right?
I think like once she knew like she was like, I wasn't here for this.
Yeah, she wasn't even on the Zoom call anymore. She was just on the phone with what's her name, Emma, right?
Yeah.
Haley.
It'd be so funny if she was just like she's just pretending. She's like bzz, bzz, sorry, that you're disconnected. Sorry.
Bye. You guys are on your own. And then Haley did this reverse seance, trying to say goodbye to the spirit.
Trying to cut the rope.
Like, what are you trying to do?
I mean, she's the only one with the experience.
And then she was like, we are really sorry. And then she asked it the question like, is there anything else you want to say to us? But she doesn't give it a chance to answer. Is there anything you want to say to us? Okay, bye.
Just go away.
That's why he got offended.
You say a proper goodbye.
And I also really like the scene where the delivery guy goes to the house. Like, that was so funny. I actually have a question about how well do we think this film is going to hold up. Because I'm really curious about this type of films, right? Films that are very dependent upon like its format, or like once you have one that's really popular, then other films try to copy it. So maybe like format wise, like I'm thinking about films like The Ring. Like, is it still scary if no one actually uses VHS tapes anymore? Like,
I mean, The Ring. doesn't really
yeah.
work anymore. The ring adapted right to the new
to
movie,
YouTube, right?
into USB and YouTube.
That's so stupid.
It became crap. It became crap.
That's so
right?
stupid. That is so stupid.
Like if I get haunted, everyone in YouTube gets haunted.
Right, it makes it so
Yeah.
dumb.
and the worst thing was that because something like that we had already seen it being made fun of in in the scary movie, and that was one of the funniest scenes of scary movie. Oh, we got our hands on this haunted tape and we are going to be showing it all night long.
Live stream.
Live streaming.
Yeah. And so like and like I think about films like Blair Witch Project. Would it still work in the age of like optical image stabilization? Like shaky.
Right, no more shaky cams.
Yeah, right. So will hosts still be this entertaining? But like we all agree that it's super entertaining, right? Would it still be this entertaining once we get other films that are like this or other films that use this format? I just wondering how you guys feel.
I would think it would still be pretty entertaining. I mean, my favorite film is like, what's it called? Paranormal Activity, the first one, right? From time to time, I would like put it on and watch, and I still get chills and goosebumps. So I think this one would also be pretty entertaining when I watch it in the future. From time to time, I just put it on and like chilling.
I mean, as long as they don't update the technology, right?
Don't update their technology.
Right, not like the Ring, they just updated it and then it becomes a YouTube streaming viral channel.
If they don't do host 2, right?
Yeah.
Or like what if it becomes like we start using like VR chat in the future, right? And
That
so,
would be
like,
even more scary.
Nobody,
That's even scarier.
but nobody uses this kind of like Zoom anymore, really. Right? So it becomes like, oh, that's outdated. Like nobody does this anymore. It's like is this a film that is so dependent upon its format? I think is what I'm asking. I don't know, like Lynn, don't know how you feel about whether you think like 10 years time people look back and say, oh, this was great, or it's still great, or like nah, it's stupid now.
I think it really depends on the age group or whoever has used Zoom in the past. Like for instance, if someone maybe a kid at like the age of 5 right now, they probably wouldn't know what Zoom is, and 10 years down the road if they watch this movie they wouldn't get the movie. But like people like us, we have watched this when we have used Zoom, we've experienced Zoom ourselves. 10 years down the road, if we were to watch this movie, I think it will still be quite memorable. It will be quite fresh in our minds. And I think there are two advantages for the movie itself, because like what they did is they leveraged on the COVID situation. So if we were to think about like COVID like in the next 10 years, right, we look at 10 years back and we remember about COVID because it's a huge pandemic, it affected the world globally. We might probably think of this movie because I mean we started this podcast because of COVID as well, right? So we
Right.
will remember. Another thing is that it's literally just 57 minutes. Like
Yeah.
there's no reason not to watch this movie. You only need an hour to watch this movie. So yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. I think because of how rewatchable it is, like even if you get a ton of films that are like this, or the technology is updated, I think it will still really hold up. The length really has a lot to do with it. I think because of how they mix up the scares as well, and the chemistry, right? Like it the chemistry of a film really goes a long way towards having you come back and rewatch it over again, or having it hold up. I think something like The Descent, for example, where the chemistry of the cast is so amazing. Like even if I think I've watched it maybe 4 or 5 times already, and I still don't get bored, because it's really it's that friendship or that they have really carries you through even some of the flaws that the film might have. I don't know whether I'll go so far to say that Host will become a classic, maybe, but I don't think people will look at it as like, oh, this is a curious, dated film from that time when everybody had to stay home because of the virus. And you don't know, man, like 10 years from now we're still staying home because of the virus.
Oh god, no, please.
No. 10 years long virus. The virus just keeps evolving.
It keeps evolving. Someone's playing Plague Inc.
Plague Inc.
Also, one more question, guys. I'm just wondering whether you think that we are going to see more films like maybe not in this format, but in this length, right? Because 57 minutes is really very. You don't see films below an hour these days, right? And yeah, do you think we are going to see more films like this?
I mean, I hope there is, but I'm not sure, because it's not that easy to fit a storyline into, like, if you want to build up the characters, right, that's gonna take a while. And then it has to be the correct context as well, and I don't think it's easy to find the script or the story to go to this kind of length. Right, it's not that easy. Like, I mean, like, this kind of film, we talk about the format, right? There is like Unfriended, and then there was this, what was that movie that was starred by this Asian guy? It's not a horror movie, but
it's John Cho.
Yeah, John Cho.
I really like that film.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's great as well, but we don't really get any other films apart from those, right? There, where we just stare at a computer screen and then we're just looking at what's happening at a computer, and that's it, right? So I'm not sure whether there is a lot of stories that can be told like that in this really unique format. But I mean, whatever has come out so far, we've enjoyed it, except for maybe Unfriended Dark Web, the second one, which was just...
I like the Dark Web. I didn't like the first one.
You didn't like the first one?
The first Unfriended. But the Dark Web one shouldn't be called Unfriended. It's got nothing to do with unfriending anyone.
Right. I mean, the second one...
a format, right? It was just a format that he used.
Yeah.
And the John Cho film is called Searching.
Correct.
That one's good.
That was pretty good. That was pretty intense, right? So yeah, so it's not. I don't think it's very. It's not easy format or even length to build a movie around, right? But the ones we got so far is pretty good.
Lin, you want to see more 57-minute length films?
Definitely. I'm not a very patient person, so sometimes one hour movie is fine with me. But yeah, I agree with what Joe said. Like, in 1 hour, it's very hard to build the character, very hard to it's a bit tough to like kind of build the plot in just an hour. I think this movie did it because it's a found footage. Like, if we were to watch a different format, I think it will be a bit tough. I think the one of the recent movies we watched, A Dark Song, I think it was an hour and a half, right? And even that was I guess they kind of told a lot in that one and a half hours, but 57 minutes, it's a bit tough lah. Because we usually watch is like the short films where it's only like 20 minutes, but those are like really, really short. It's not a movie, but this one, it's quite hard to get, but I would appreciate if there are more.
Yeah, I mean, I find it really interesting that we have watched the longest film that we have reviewed and the shortest film are both back to back. Personally, like, I would love to see more films experiment with the length. I mean, not every film needs to be a 150-minute exploration of obscure Scandinavian village rituals. But I think personally that the biggest pushback is going to be for theatrical releases, right? Like, most people, like, if you pay $30 to watch a film, you're going to be let down if you don't even get an hour's worth of entertainment. But I've sat through enough god-awful films, and I'm sure all of you have as well, that, were padded out to meet this arbitrary 80-90-minute mark. And, those films, you're like, why couldn't you have just, you should have ended a little bit earlier, right? You're just drawing it out. I do hope more directors will be brave enough to go shorter, and I agree with you, Joe. Like, if the format fits, if the story fits a shorter format, like, go for it, right? And I think especially if we see more films go straight to video on demand or like streaming and not being released in theaters, I would really, really like to see more directors like just experiment with this kind of format, right? Give us this hour long or slightly less than an hour. I know most people will be like, maybe this works better in an anthology, maybe instead of like a standalone film. I don't know. I am I mean, anthologies have been a mixed bag for me. But yeah, I think there is some merit to exploring this kind of shorter films. Like, you look at it, and I think it's something that we've repeated over and over, right? It's only 57 minutes. Like, go ahead and watch it. And I think that's a huge selling point, really, right? Because like, when you tell somebody, hey, watch Midsommar, and it's like over 2 hours long, it might be like the best film in the world, but some people are going to be like, you know what, like, I need to be in the correct headspace to watch a 2 hour plus horror film, right? 57 minutes, anybody can do it.
I did wish it was longer though. I don't know about you guys.
Right? It could go the other way too. Like, if it's too short, you don't get enough of it.
If it's too short, it feels like a YouTube video.
Right. Especially since we're all like binging stuff on Netflix. Right. We don't just watch one episode of 20 minutes.
But I think between like leaving people wanting more and overstaying your welcome, I would rather films leave us wanting more.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can give this film a rating. I can go first. I wouldn't go as far as 10 out of 10, but 8 out of 10 for me. It's really enjoyable. It's really short. Left me wanting more. Maybe that's a minus. I don't know. But the characters were great. The cast had really good chemistry. The jump scares is pretty effective. There's a lot of creepy moments. We didn't talk about the filter moment, right?
I like that one too.
Yeah, that's really chilling. I mean, when I saw that filter, right, and then she tried to touch it.
Touch it. First instinct, touch it.
and then it went to it turned into this trope of putting flour on the floor. That was a paranormal activity trope.
Yep.
And then the other girl did it later when she put the blanket. Like, why?
Yeah, when she threw the blanket, right? Why? Right. Unless you've watched Paranormal Activity.
It's the same one.
Yeah.
It's the same girl.
It's the same girl. Oh yeah, she was the filter one.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
Emma knows what's going on, man.
Right. She has watched Paranormal Activity.
She's like, I want to see this ghost 3 times.
To think that you've done that.
Paranormal Activity is like in universe for these people.
Right. They've seen the show and then she's doing it, right?
Why no?
Like, no normal person would have done that.
There's no reason.
Right. You wouldn't suspect a ghost standing in front of you and throw a blanket over it. You would run away, right?
No, but if you've seen Casper
or the Disney cartoons where the ghost is just a sheet.
Scooby-Doo. Trying to Scooby-Doo the ghost.
Yeah, so there's a lot of great moments. I love it. It's short enough, I guess. It's really rewatchable too. It's the second time I'm watching it, and I'm still enjoying it. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. Caleb?
I'll give it a 4. Just entertainment alone is a 10. But if overall the film, I'll give it a 7. Yeah, for all the reasons that Joe said it already. There's like scary scenes, cool jump scares. The cast are great too. Yeah,
That's a 7?
yeah. Are you sure? There was a lot of people doing really dumb stuff too. So I don't know. It's fun to laugh at, but in the film itself, it doesn't make sense.
Right. Okay. Well, if you want to go that way. Lynn.
I kind of agree with Caleb in certain in people doing dumb stuff. Like normal people wouldn't do stuff like that, right? Like if you are scared, like if you hear things on your attic, like don't go to the attic. When you see attics in horror movies, you know that shit's getting real lah. So yeah, I think apart from that, it is a very entertaining movie and it's worth watching because it's short. You wouldn't feel like you have wasted an hour of your time after watching it. So yeah, for the entertainment aspect and overall, I think the plot itself, I don't know whether this is an occult movie though, because of
No, it is because of seance.
The
Yeah, it
seance.
is.
It's just a one short part.
Yeah, I think
Summon a demon.
the occultic part is like too short lah. So like I'm a bit. I expected a bit more from that, and yeah. So I think overall I'll give it an 8. It's worth watching. Yeah, but it doesn't deserve like a 10 out of 10 lah.
Yeah, I think for me, like, this is I really enjoyed it, right? And I'm surprised that even watching it a second time, did somebody just say 10 in the background?
Not me this
Like
time.
you're gonna say 10. Caleb said it. Not me, Caleb said it.
But yeah, you know, I enjoyed just how innovative the film was, and I think that the fact that we watched it twice over the span of like a couple of weeks, and I still found myself really entertained the second time around, really speaks volumes about, you know, just how enjoyable this film is. We have touched upon all the stuff that makes it great, right? I think that the jump scares are really effective. The fact that it is so relatable, and that the chemistry of the cast is really good. Stupid things that happen in the films, like, I mean, you know, stupid things happening in horror films is going to be a trope that doesn't die. But you know, I only
If you're
felt,
being haunted by a demon, you can do stupid things.
yeah, right. And also, like, I felt like the only one that I felt was really a bit dumb was like, why are you carrying your laptop facing outwards?
Exactly,
Walking
yeah.
around, like yeah, that was the only thing that I felt like, okay, girl, like, maybe, you know, you need to relax a little bit. But everything else was, I thought was really good. I love all the performances. Like, I really like Caroline especially. You know, and I am surprised that it seems like I liked it the most out of all of us. So yeah, I mean, like, again, like, for the format, for its time length, for its the innovative use of this teleconferencing, I'm gonna give this like a 9. I really enjoyed it.
Right. That's not too bad. At least it's not 10.
What do you mean
At least.
We're all entitled to our opinions, man. We got opinions here.
You've used up all your 10 cards, Josh. We have more movies with 10s in it.
Okay. Speaking about using up our 10 cards, right? I was just thinking that it'd be nice if we do a little wrap up of like this set of 4 films that we have watched, right? So we started off with looking at A Dark Song, and then we went to Hereditary, Midsommar, and then we ended with Host. And I think we can all pretty much agree that these are 4 really good films. I think we enjoyed all of them, some maybe more than others. And I was just going to ask whether we could just quickly do a roundup of this film. Maybe we can talk about what our favorite performances were. Maybe one stand-up performance, our favorite scene, and then lastly, let's rank like which was our, well, because all of them were good, so it's not worst to best, but I mean, maybe we go like least favorite to favorite among the 4. So let's kick it off with favorite performance. Joe, do you have like a favorite performance in these set of films?
I do. Performance would definitely be Toni Collette as Annie in Hereditary. Man, she knocks it out of the park for me. Yeah.
Caleb?
Mine's same with Joe. When you talk about Hereditary, the only scene come to mind is Toni Collette. The head, not head flossing, head banging on the attic door.
Right.
Right.
Something to do with the head.
Has anything to do with the head. Right, yeah.
Lee?
I have to agree with both Joe and Caleb. Her performance was really outstanding. Yeah, she's just amazing. She really played out the character really well. It's so real. It's so relatable. I mean, not that I could relate, but like, I think moms could relate to her. Like, you know, the breakdown of the family and whatnot. Yeah, it was just awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go in a slightly different direction.
Of course.
Of course you are.
So Caroline Ward, as Caroline in Host, actually gets an honorable mention for me. But the outstanding performances, or the outstanding performance for me out of this group of 4 films, is actually Catherine Walker as Sophia in A Dark Song. It's not as big a performance as Toni Collette's in Hereditary, right? But Walker brings such a weight to her role. You really, really feel, without that weight of the guilt and loss that she carries with her, the redemptive arc of the film at the end just wouldn't hit home as strongly as it does. And so, yeah, I mean, my favorite performance is actually hers. Okay, before we go on to the next one, maybe you guys can just shout out your favorite scenes. I don't have to go one by one asking which is your favorite scene.
I say mine. I say mine.
Yeah, we can.
The head banging scene.
That's your favorite scene.
Yeah.
My favorite scene. It's the most memorable one. I wouldn't say my favorite.
I think the most memorable sequence for me among these 4 films would be the decapitation of Charlie. From the decapitation to the brother driving home all the way to the mom discovering it. I mean, that stays with you for life, man. I mean, after watching it and then watching it again the second time for this review, I mean, I don't think I'll ever forget that scene. Those sequence, man, that's crazy.
The ants crawling on her head as well. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man.
That was really.
Yeah. On my end, the 2 memorable scenes. I won't say it's a favorite because it's just disturbing. So to say it's my favorite is just like sick lah. The first one is the Etestupa scene in Midsommar. That is insane. Like the 2 old folks jumping from the cliff and the old woman's head was smashed right onto the rock, and the old man's head was smashed by what's it called, the miller, mallet. Yeah, so that was just crazy lah. Like every time I think of Midsommar, that's the first scene that I think about. Like, and it still stays with me. It was a week ago that we watched the movie, and every time I think of Midsommar, that scene comes to mind. The second one, I think this is more of like a good way of cinematography, was the scene in Hereditary where Peter discovered that his dad was burned alive, and the usage of the camera, it was like it was a 360 view, and then the camera panned onto that weird creepy guy at the door. That was one of the memorable ones that I could think of. I think it was a smart way of using the camera as well. So, I think that was, I would say, not really favorite, but something I remember about it. Of course, the decapitation of Charlie's head was also one that I thought about. But not favorite, definitely. Just memorable.
You don't have to keep disclaiming.
I just want to make myself clear that I'm not sick.
Yes, you're not sick. You're not sick. You're fine.
I also have a couple of memorable scenes. I think the honorable mention would be the guardian angel scene at the end of The Dark Song. It's just because of it's something that I have never seen before in a horror film. To have the guts to cap out your horror film like that. With that kind of ending and that kind of imagery, I thought was really outstanding. But the most outstanding scene for me also comes from Hereditary, but not ones that you guys have mentioned. For me, it would actually be the scene where Annie walks into her son's room and then she tells him how she didn't want him in the first place, and then that quick shift on her face, so that pure horror when she realized what she has said, like. In a film that is just so full of all these supernatural horrors and decapitations and people flossing their heads off, when I think about Hereditary now, like that is the one that stands out for me, because that is just such a raw human moment, right? And yeah, so let's get to our rankings of the 4 films, least favorite to favorite. Maybe Caleb, you want to kick us off? Which is your least favorite to
Least
your
favorite,
favorite?
Least favorite all the way to your most favorite. Oh, Josh is gonna hate me. My least favorite is The Dark Song.
You even said the title wrong.
A Dark Song.
You even said the title wrong.
Extra damage. Not that it's a bad film. It's just that it's the least memorable one for me. Right? Yeah. Then it goes second least favorite. Least memorable. It would be Host, the current one that we watch. Then Midsommar. Then Hereditary.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. I think mine's most. I mean, this is not in like bad, right? It's just whichever you enjoy more, right?
Yeah, because we I think we're all on record saying that we enjoy all 4 films. Right? Meeting all 4 films are pretty good.
Yeah.
I think
It sounds like I'm setting myself up to defend.
Okay.
Yes, Joe, please go ahead.
My least enjoyable one would be actually Midsommar, because it's just a trial to watch it, right? So it's so hard to get through. I mean, it's a really good film, but man, 3 hours, and the things that happens in the movie is just very harrowing. That Midsommar. The second one would be A Dark Song. Also, very closely related to why Midsommar is very hard to watch for me. It's not bad, but man, it's so torturous to watch. Of course, then second favorite would be Host. Very easy to watch, very enjoyable. And then Hereditary would of course be number 1. Amazing, right? So yeah.
I like how you say "of course" like it's a given.
I mean, that's the only one left.
Yeah.
For me, my rankings are actually the same as Caleb. Like, A Dark Song is my least favorite. Of course, all these movies are good. I enjoyed all. I have to emphasize that, Josh.
Josh.
Yeah. Don't bash me, Josh. A Dark Song, Host, Midsommar, and of course Hereditary.
Okay, so I think among the 4 of us, I'm the one who really needs to put a disclaimer at the front. This is just personal opinion, guys. Personal preference. All of these are great films. You wouldn't be wasting your time watching any of these 4. But if I were to list my least favorite, and really, before we had started reviewing these films, if I would have been shocked to have put this at number 4. But my least favorite among the 4 is actually Hereditary.
No!
Get out of here!
No! This is an outrage!
Instead of hating him.
Look, if you guys can put A Dark Song at number 4.
Oh, that's not me, that's Caleb.
Look, the reason why Hereditary for me is number 4, it's I after the our review, right, I had a long hard think about the film, about the issues that I've had with the film, and you know what? If it is an allegory for mental illness, at the end of the day, I think it works, right? I think it works. It's a really good film, but there's a certain rawness about how the film was made, and a certain fleshiness which I think Ari Aster tempers and becomes more effective in the next film on my list, which is why I placed Midsommar ahead of Hereditary. Like, so Hereditary is number 3 on my list because like Hereditary was Midsommar actually is number 3 on my list. Like, Hereditary was already a superb debut by Ari Aster, but I feel that Midsommar is stronger because it feels like he's more confident, right? He's more sure about how he wants to apply his techniques. The performances in Midsommar are not as strong as in Hereditary, but I feel Midsommar is the stronger film just because of how unique it is. And between the two, I would actually rewatch Midsommar again rather than Hereditary. Second place for me is Host because it's just super entertaining, and the chemistry of the cast really reminds me of one of my favorite films that I've mentioned a few times, is The Descent. Not just because it's an all-female cast, but really like that friendship, right? The ease that the characters have with each other really just translates so well on the screen, and I think it really lands that kind of. It's really what sucks you into the film, that you're willing to overlook, some of its flaws and them doing some silly things. And number one for me would be A Dark Song. I think when we were doing the review of the film, I said that when I look back over the last 10 years of horror films that I've watched, the two films that have really stuck with me because of how deep and emotional impact that it has made were It Comes at Night and A Dark Song. And I think for me, A Dark Song, if you're talking about occultic films, it is the most occultic among the 4 films that we have watched. It's probably the most occultic films that has ever been made, just because of how much it goes into the steps of the ritual, right? And at the same time, the themes of grief, of loss, of forgiveness, learning to forgive yourself is something that really, really resonated with me. And so, I guess that's why it's my number one. I'm sorry.
This is Hereditary podcast only.
But yeah.
All right, so there you have it, guys. We are at the end.
Please don't cancel us because of my opinions.
It's just an opinion. Everyone's allowed to have it. It's okay. You guys will still we will still have Josh with us in our next.
It's fine. We'll just disable our comments.
Okay, so we are going to announce our next theme, which is psychological, right? So psychological horror will be our next theme coming up, and I think the first person who's going to choose would be Lynn.
Yes, so psychological is my favorite genre, so I'm glad this is this is my comfort zone. So we are going to, the first film that we are going to review would be It Follows. So It Follows is a 2014 American supernatural psychological horror film written and directed by David Robert Mitchell. So this movie is about a teenage girl named Jay who is pursued by a supernatural entity after a sexual encounter. So that's just the gist of what the movie is about. So stay tuned.
Alright, so if you guys want to join us next time, we will be talking about It Follows in our next theme for our podcast, which is psychological horror. So if you like us, give us a like, subscribe, and from wherever platform that you're listening on, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Yeah, and no, hang on.
Bye.
because we're on Instagram as well.
Right.
Leave us a come and say hi and leave a comment. We really love to hear what you guys think about the episodes.
What's our Instagram tag, Josh?
It's
It's incantation.podcast.
Incantation.podcast, yeah.
Right, okay. Alright, so see you guys on Instagram, see you guys on Spotify, and wherever you're listening us to. Alright, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
You guys actually harmonize your buys.